Okay. I guess I should know it anyway. Before we go ahead and just have the word this morning, I'm just going to open up with some prayer. Father, we just come to you humbly, open, just excited about you, just about what you do. I just ask that you just allow the word to just flow forth, that people just only are focused on you, and just are able to grasp what it is that you have to give. I ask that you don't let me get in the way of what it is that you have to deliver this morning.
Yes.
I ask that you just get all the glory, all the honor, and all the praise from what comes forth today. I thank you for just being able to be here this morning. I thank you just for all the friends and family here this morning. And just continue to be with us throughout this day. These are blessings we ask in your name. Amen. 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 So, anybody that knows me knows that I'm a talker. I don't want to just talk to people that are not talking to me. So, y'all don't gotta just, look at me as if I'm anybody in particular. I'm still Quan. So, talking back to me is cool. Participating is cool. If I ask y'all a question, y'all don't gotta look around to see who's gonna raise their hand or who not gonna raise their hand. And this is the test right here. Pop quiz time. Does anybody in here believe that bad things happen to good people? Just raise your hand. Bad things happen to good people. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, that's where we're going today. So that's what we're gonna kind of keep as the theme for today. So I was doing some reading in preparation. Our pastor here at this church in particular, I think he just flows through the model that if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. Because any given time, he'll tap you and say, next Sunday, we're going to have you just giving the word. Or he might tap you and say, hey, by the way, go ahead and get this done. Or we're going to have you do this or lead in this. So you got to stay ready. You got to stay ready. So I was doing some reading, and I'm sure we've all heard the story in John chapter 9. It's about the man that was blind. He was born blind. And one day, Jesus was strolling by, him and his boys, the disciples. And, he sees the man on the side, and the disciples, the way that they understood that, if somebody was born with such an ailment or illness or something, then it had to have come from sin. And it was either his parents or himself that caused this blindness to take place. So, they asked him, say, Rabbi, was it him or was it his parents? And he said neither. And that's why the key verse is, neither this man nor his parents sinned, said Jesus, but this happened so that the works of God might be displayed in him. As long as it is, well, we'll just leave that verse. Getting ahead of myself. Does anybody in here know somebody born with a disability or an ailment or something, unfortunate, whether it be, some paralysis, missing limbs, missing anything, MRDD, anything like that? Anybody? Okay. Hey, listen, I'm Quan. I said, we just talking. We're just talking here. I need y'all to talk back to me. Talk back. Y'all making me more nervous than I already am. Amen. All right. So, how do we feel about things that people aren't born with, more situational things? We see the person on the corner. We see, people that may have mental illnesses and things like that as well. Do we still kind of classify that in the same realm? And are we like the disciples in the same way that we ask, what kind of sins brought them to the place that they're at today? Or are we viewing things the way that Jesus said, and understanding that works may be displayed in people? So, that's kind of where we're going to be going today. What was very interesting about this man in particular, that if you kind of read through, and I started to put the whole chapter onto the page and call that the outline, but that's not really appropriate, as I learned many times in school. that you can't just put all the context and highlight the whole book, because that doesn't necessarily work as far as keeping people focused on things. But there's two different kind of changes that took place. So the man, his physical sight was given back to him. Born blind, never saw before, came into contact with Jesus, spit on the ground, made mud, put it on his eyes, told him to go over to the pool, wash his eyes, and it said that he went home seeing. So that took place as well. But also in the scripture, following down a little bit, he's running into folks. In verse 8 it says, his neighbors and those who had formerly seen him begging asked, isn't this the same man who used to sit and beg? Some claimed that he was, others said, nah. Or they said no. They ain't say nah. He only looks like him. They might have said nah. But he himself insisted, I am the man. And they said, how then were your eyes open? They asked. He replied, the man they called Jesus made some mud, put it on my eyes. He told me to go to the Siloam and wash. So I went and washed, and then I could see. You ever seen like the shows and things like that they have where, I'm not going to throw one out, where they protecting like the identity of people, and the only thing that they change is they like blur out the eyes, and that's the only thing that they use to mask somebody's identity, and it really is hard to identify who that person is. You ever seen any? Hands, please, hands. All right. I'm just making sure y'all with me still now. Okay. So something just as small as just eyes can change the way that somebody sees a person. So much so that my man who was begging, and I'm sure that probably even had a reputation. He was born blind, mind you. So he's probably been begging for quite some time. So, they said that, oh, is that, homeboy that used to be begging? And he was like, nah. It just looked like him. And the only thing that changed was his eyes. And so, there's a lot of different things that, a situation, somebody that's well-dressed, they hit, economic hardship, and they may be dressed a little bit differently after economic hardship. And nothing about them may have changed as far as their personality, as far as anything else. But because they changed their dress, we may view them in a different way. So, as far as, just, I want us to, I'm setting the stage for us to keep this in mind as far as the way that we view people on a day-to-day basis. So, we did Feed the Streets yesterday. There's a lot of people that we can see and we can try to guess what their life story is. And I'm real curious. I don't like to guess. I like to ask people, hey, what's going on out here? And the lady that I met yesterday, Melinda, she said, I've been out here for about a month now. And she didn't necessarily give me the background as far as what brought her there. But that's neither here nor there. What's important is that she's there, and that she's there for a reason. And it may or may not be because of anything that she's done or that her parents have done, but that the works of God may need to be shown through her. So further down throughout this chapter, they have let me not assume that everybody knows everything about the story. So, man born blind, Jesus comes through, gives him his sight. People are not necessarily believing that this is the dude that he's saying that he is. So, he's brought before the Pharisees, and the Pharisees are the leaders of the Jews, right? So the Pharisees, they walk out with their chest out. They know all the laws. By appearance, eyesight, again, they got it together. They got it together. They, follow the laws. They know it better than anybody else. People look up to them as being the rulers and the leaders of the Jews. So they bring forth the man, and they're asking him, and they're like, so what happened? You were born blind. Now you can see. What's going on. He said, Jesus gave me my sight. And they're like, well, hold up. First of all, Jesus couldn't have did it, because this is a Sabbath day that he did it on. So he's automatically a sinner. But some of the other Pharisees is like, well, it sounds like that, he may be a sinner, but at the same time, how can some sinner be having the power to cure a man from blindness? So they was a little perplexed about that. They ain't know what to do with that situation. So it was a couple of different occasions they asked the man about this situation. But they said, well, we can't just take his word for it. Somebody go find this man's parents. Because we got to make sure that this is who he is, and who better to know than mom and dad, right? Because as far as, viewing somebody when anybody makes any kind of significant changes, mom and dad probably going to notice first. So they brought mom and dad. And according to, the Jews back in this time, so the Jews, when you come into the age of 13, then you're of age. So they went and got the parents. They said, is this your son? They was like, yeah. They said, well, was he born blind? They said, yeah. And they said, well, how did he get his sight then? And they was like, well, we don't know how we got his sight. Ask him. Stop asking us. Because, like I said, these are the Pharisees that they talking to. The Pharisees, they got the power to make some moves, So they were scared of being exiled out of the synagogue and all of that stuff. So they said, stop asking us, go ask him. He old enough to speak for himself. So they asked him again. And, he tell them, like, why y'all keep asking? Didn't I already tell y'all? It was Jesus that did it. He got me together. He got my eyesight together. So they ended up exiling him out. Because he said, he threw out a little smart comment, and I'm just giving you the little details of the middle of here. But he asked them, he said, did y'all want to be disciples or something? And I'm paraphrasing, but, so they were extremely offended at that. They sent him out of there. And Jesus went and found him. And that's kind of where we pick up here, down here at verse 39. And he asked him if he knew who the Son of God was. And he said, I don't, but tell me. So I could worship him. And Jesus is talking to him, and he said, you talking to the Son of God. It's me. And he says, for judgment I have come into this world, so that the blind will see, and those who see will become blind. And there were some Pharisees that were standing around there by him, and they heard him, and they said, what are we blind to? And Jesus said, if you were blind, you would not be guilty of sin. But now that you claim to see, your guilt remains. So it's a lot of us that have physical eyesight. A lot of us were born with that luxury. But are we spiritually blind? That's the other side of it. The physical blindness was cured for the man. And with that, he was well. But, a lot of us have this physical sight and are spiritually blind. And we're going to be guilty for that reason. So he said, again, if you were blind, you would not be guilty. So those, they say ignorance is bliss, and it very much is. Living in La La Land is really cool until reality comes and, introduces itself. So those of us that have an opportunity to be able to get the word and are introduced to God, kids, parents are bringing you to church, you're responsible for understanding, what's going on and having your spiritual sight. And, they thought that this man had the disadvantage by being blind. But really, he was the one that's going to be spiritually sound. When these Pharisees who know all the rules, look like, voted most likely to go to heaven, are the very ones who are really spiritually sick and blind. So be mindful of that. And I wanted to you kind of just bring home the point as well, as far as just on a very personal level. We go through things, and things in this particular case was this man's blindness that he was born with. We go through things as well. We have loss in our families. We have people that get sick. We get sick. We have economic hardships. We may have marital issues. We may have inner relationship, family issues. A lot of different things can happen to us. But we have to step back and ask ourselves, is it because we've sinned? Is it because of the sins of our parents? Or is it God trying to work something through us so that he can get the glory? And come out of a place of, woe is me because something is happening to me. Woe is me because I didn't get that promotion that I was supposed to get. Woe is me because I work hard every day, but it doesn't seem like I can get ahead financially. Woe is me I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, but my relationships with the people that I love aren't working the way that I want them to. Woe is me, because I keep praying for a family member that's addicted to drugs or alcohol, and they don't seem to be pulling through. Woe is me, because I pray, I'm on my knees every day, but family members keep dying, they keep getting sick, and things keep happening. Be mindful, because God may be showing himself mighty in the things that happen in our lives. But if we don't do like the blind man, who not only after getting that, he got all this ridicule, he probably got more ridicule from being cured than he did before from just being a beggar. They was like, well, this man just lying, he a disciple of Jesus, which means he ain't too much of nothing. Because we're disciples of Moses. That's the real dude that speak to God, not Jesus. Because they were missing it. So we have to make sure that we apply that to our lives. Things that are happening to us may be happening for a reason. And if we don't hang tight in there, then we're not going to be able to truly, get what God has for us. God's not going to get the glory from us. People are going to be looking at us instead of the glory of God. Because this man was a testament for a lot of people, I'm sure. All of these people that were surrounding him and like, yo, this man, because in this time, just giving you context too, Jesus did a bunch of miracles. This is the first time that somebody had been cured from blindness. Nobody had ever seen anything like that before. So they were in very much disbelief as far as what took place. And also, I think that we kind of get a misconstrued idea of what it is that God does. We think that, we're here to just kick it and do whatever we want to do. And God just going to bless us in the midst of us doing whatever we want to do. And just enjoying ourselves to the fullest, because God wants us to be happy. God wants us to have joy. He wants us to have peace. So if I want to be in a club and, and somebody starts shooting some stuff up, then, we praising God that we didn't get shot. And we think that, well, it was meant to be for me to be in the club and not get shot, and everything is all right. I want to just remind everybody that because God is a very gracious God, and he very much understands that we may not be in the positions that we need to be in, and he's still calling for us. But we do know right from wrong. So if we are somewhere where we don't need to be, engaging in activities that we don't need to be engaging in, then we have to take responsibility and accountability and move in that way. Because if we don't, then something very much and very well may happen to you. And we can't be looking to see, well, Lord, are you about to just cure me and do A, B, and C for me? When we made very deliberate decisions. This man didn't choose to be blind, but God was able to be seen through it. So we're just going to get some of these scriptures, and I was going to read them, but like I said, I don't want to be talking at y'all. So could we just, could I have somebody read James 1, 2 through 4? I'm going to have Mom, if you want to get that for me, James 1, 2 through 4. And you sitting in the back, so I need you to use your outside voice when you read the scripture. Oh, yeah. That'd be wonderful. You're not going to have to scream. We're going to bring a mic to you. Just because we care.
Yep.
1, 2 through 4. James 1, 2 through 4, verse 2. Consider it a great joy, my brothers, whenever you experience various trials, knowing the testing of your faith produces endurance. But endurance must do its complete work, so that you may be mature and complete, lacking nothing.
Amen. So that doesn't sound like, the murmuring and complaining about things that happen to us is acceptable according to God. It said, count it all joy that you're going through trials. Because it's building up something in you to be able to take it. Well, we do run around with the saying, what doesn't kill me makes me stronger, but we don't really walk in it. Not when something really hits you. You know, when a family member passed, we don't say, well, what doesn't kill me makes me stronger. We're not saying that at the funeral. You know, when you know the funds ain't looking right, we're not saying, well, they didn't kill us, so it's making us stronger. We like, yo, what's happening with this bank account? You know, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get my tithes this Sunday. You know, because my funds is short. I'm not gonna be able to help nobody. Don't call me. Don't ask me for nothing. Matter of fact, I might be hitting your line to borrow a couple dollars. That's where we're at with it. So, you know, I'm just bringing this to mind because we got to condition our minds and really lean on the scriptures to understand what's going on. And endurance is going to have its perfect work. So we're truly going to be stronger at the end of it. So, I mean, I'm not knocking the phrase. I'm knocking on the way that we kind of choose to apply it. So be mindful of that. Somebody give me, Minister, you want to give me Matthew 10, 32 through 39, please? 32 through 39.
Matthew 10, 32 through 39. Therefore, the one who confesses and acknowledges me before men as Lord and Savior, affirming a state of oneness with me, that one I will also confess and acknowledge before my Father who is in heaven. But the one who denies and rejects me before men, that one I will also deny and reject before my Father who is in heaven. Do not think that I have come to bring peace on earth. I have not come to bring peace, but a sword, a division between belief and unbelief. For I have come to set a man against his father, and a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's enemies will be the members of his own household, when one believes, and the other one does not. He who loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he who loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me.
Jesus.
And he who does not take his cross, express a willingness to endure whatever may come, and follow me, believing in me, conforming to my example in living, and if need be, suffer, or perhaps dying because of faith in me, is not worthy of me. Whoever finds his life in this world will eventually lose it through death. And whoever loses his life in this world for my sake will find it. That is life with me for all eternity.